And I would firstly like to thank all of you for joining us in this masterclass today, which is for the MasterCamp in Human Resource Management that Masters Union has recently created with KPMG India, right? So just to set the context for all of you, now the MasterCamp in Human Resource Management is a 6-month program that is delivered and designed along with KPMG in India. And it's basically a program that's suitable for anybody who's looking to either start off their careers in the human resource management domain, or at the same time, if you're already coming from that background and you're looking to sort of grow and upskill yourself for better opportunities or a different role within the HR domain, then the program is something that's designed for you. Right. And if we talk about today's masterclass, so we actually have one of our masters and a couple of more as well from KPMG India team. And I'll be just briefly introducing them as well. But just to set the context for you about the masterclass as well, we are going to talk about the hybrid model, right? And I think a lot of us got the opportunity to rather experience this model during the lockdown period, whereas there are a lot of companies who are further exploring to, take this in a long term, right? So we of course have Sonal Shah here, who's also one of the masters in the program, and she's going to be sharing from her experience. And if I tell you about where she's coming from, so she has over 12 years of experience in the HR domain, where she's worked with multiple companies and is currently working as the associate director for KPMG in India. Okay, so if we talk about her areas of expertise, she's worked in areas of talent management, as well as more towards consulting clients and building a future-proof organization, right? So, Sonal, I'd like to invite you to take it over from here. And just one more thing, guys, in case there are any questions that may arise, I would request you guys to put it in the Q&A section. Towards the end, me as well as Sonal and her team will be trying our best to answer those questions. And I hope the session is insightful for you. Over to you, Sonal.
Thank you so much, Faraz. I'm Sonal Shah, and I'm going to talk about employee experience in a hybrid world. So we've been talking about hybrid workplace. I think that's one subject that we've spoken about so much over the last 2.5 years since COVID hit. Not that it didn't exist earlier, it surely did. But the way we look at the lens with which we've started to focus on hybrid working as a key factor has drastically changed in the last 2 years for sure, right? What we're going to do today is talk about employee experience in a hybrid workplace, right? So let me start right away with all of you. This is an open question for everybody. What you see on the screen right now, and I would like some pointers to come to me. What is it that you see on the screen? Are these devices familiar to you? Are you able to recognize some of them? You can recognize earpods, you can recognize electronic gadgets, music devices. Thank you so much, Dishan. Thank you, Anandita, musical instrument speakers, right? What is it that's common here? Change in device related to music. Diksha, thank you. What else? Sound output. Audio related, perfect. So see, great. The audience is already pretty equipped to answer these questions. These are all music instruments, right? At some stage, either our grandparents or our parents or us, we've listened to music through these instruments, right? It's evolved from what you see on the left-hand side to earpods today, handy, you just plug them in and listen to music. Basically talks about the evolution of music, evolution of musical instruments, right? But what has remained constant throughout this journey is music. What has remained constant is whenever we listen something through these devices, we want to sing along, we want to dance, right? So that has remained constant. And I wanted to place this with you, that's exactly how employee experience is, right? It's not that it didn't exist, it always existed. It's just the lens through which we see employee experience today has changed drastically, right? There were always times when we were engaging employees, our grandparents were working in certain organizations, they were engaged. We were working, our parents are working, all of that, all of them are engaged through some medium. So there is surely employee experience. It's just that we see it through a very different lens. Before we jump now, we will talk about employee experience, but let's first understand the reality today, right? Do we understand what hybrid model is? Do we know what does hybrid mean? What does hybrid working mean for you? I'm looking for some answers here. Nobody? We don't know what hybrid? 2 days working from home. Okay, work from home partially, visiting office 2 times. Great. All right. Those are the right answers, right? Hybrid working it used to be office. It has moved to home, right? It is also a place which could be a cafe, a restaurant, somewhere in the mountains, somewhere right next to the beach. It could be any place for us, right? All of these the location constitutes a hybrid working model for organizations, right? And over the last 2.5 years, we've surely leveraged each space, whether it is office or our home space or some restaurant or cafe. We worked out of all these 3 locations, depending on wherever we were. That's something that is called hybrid. So we now understand, I hope you understand what hybrid workplace looks like, right? And that's the kind of place that you want to build employee experience in. So keep that at the back of your mind while we go through this session. In offices, you're in a physical state, you are close to your team members, you're working together. At home, you're working together, but you could be in different locations. Same is the case with a cafe or a restaurant, right? Let's now jump into what employee experience is. What is employee experience? And I'm looking at the chat window again. Help me define this for you guys. What is employee experience to you? It's the work experience, okay. What else? It's the work experience, it's the work culture, okay. Lovely answer, Dishan. You seem to be on fire today. It is the interaction with the environment, great. It's the office environment, Preeti, thank you. All right, great. Oh, we have a good audience today. Employee experience is an employee's perception about his or her journey throughout the touch points that happen in an organization, right? It's not anymore just at the time of hiring, how do you want to attract talent? It's not restricted to that anymore. It is small things around how is my performance appraisal happening? What are the kind of learning and development interventions I have? Am I connected to my team? Am I connected to my manager? Do I feel like I belong to this place? All of this constitutes employee experience, right? So there are so many touch points in an employee's life while they work in an organization, and all of them, small or big, make or enhance make or break the employee experience for an individual. Now, while the employee experience is evolving, right? What's one piece? What is one thing that you think that comes to your mind has drastically increased or has become extremely important, has become extremely critical for employees? Is there something, as you see the slide, as you see various things popping up on your screen, is there something that comes to your mind that this has become extremely critical for employees now? What do you see? What has become extreme? Employee experience is, of course, very important. But is there something that comes to your mind? Comfort. Okay, great. Thank you, Ayushi. What else do you feel? Personal growth is extremely important. Connect among employees, communication, recognition. Okay, responsibility, support. Brilliant. Okay, great. If I have to summarize one thing that has become extremely critical for organization to look out for, is sense of belongingness, right? There's certain places that you feel at home, that you feel very comfortable with, and a lot of you did call out trust, support, care, comfort. All of these are different words for belongingness, right? There is a big need for belongingness, sense of belongingness in the workplace. Do I feel connected to my employer? Do I feel connected to my work? Do I feel connected to my team members, right? And organizations have invested a lot, even though the circumstances weren't that great over the last 2 years. Organizations have invested a lot in building their inclusion practices so that they make employees feel part of a large family, right? If you look at the stat, 20% of increase in inclusion efforts have been seen over the last 2 years by HR, by a leading HR organization. That's a big number to have in 2 years' time. But very interestingly, and a downside of all of this was that we realized that 53% of the employees feel far more lonely. than they felt before. That's half your employee base, right? If 53% of your employees are feeling that they're lonely, they don't have anybody to reach out to, or they're working in silos, that's the biggest flaw of having a hybrid model, right? And what happens when you have 53% of your employees feeling lonely? Their engagement levels go down. What happens when their engagement levels go down? Their performance goes down. And what happens? There's no brownie point for it, right? When your performance goes down, your employee experience is going to get impacted, right? So it's like a vicious circle, and it clearly links to downward trend in an employee experience if the belongingness doesn't get catered to. Let's simplify this slide even further in a way that we understand it, right? All of us, I'm assuming, are familiar with life cycle. It starts with attraction, we'll have onboarding, learning and development, rewards, performance management, and ends with exit. Sometimes it doesn't end there. It continues to grow in the form of an alumni network, right? We are all familiar with this life cycle of an employee. Let's talk about some of the best practices that have been taken by organizations over the last, over the last 2 years, or at least post-COVID, who have really built on building the employee experience. Let me talk about onboarding first. So a professional services organization did this with their onboarding help desk, right? Onboarding, as we are familiar with, is not only about the day one joining. It is not about on the day one, am I getting infrastructure? Am I getting my laptop? Am I getting my forms filled? That's not onboarding anymore, right? Onboarding is from the day I have accepted the offer, right? My onboarding journey starts. Organizations call it as pre-onboarding. So from that day, if I've started to build on my, I start to connect with the candidate. I make them familiar with what the future organization looks like. I help them understand what my team members would be like, basically building a consistent candidate experience through the process. And what happens in the end is that by the time the candidate joins the organization, becomes an employee, I've already built a great connect with the candidate. He or she already knows what's in it for them when they join the organization. I'm sure all of us, if we've not already worked anywhere, I'm sure we've gone through that phase of being jittery about joining a new organization. We don't know what's going to come our way. We don't know how the new employer would be. What is the work culture going to be? What kind of people that I would work with, right? Having a very solid pre-onboarding journey carved out, it helps me to connect with the candidates far better than an organization who possibly doesn't connect that often. And this was successfully done by a professional services organization. So much so, just to give you a stats, in a period of about 6 months, they were able to connect 3 times more with the candidates than they would have done in the past. They were able to substantially decrease their offer dropouts. And the number of people who wanted to join the organization, the CV intake, the resume uptake went up drastically just in a period of 6 months. And that's how powerful an onboarding journey could be for employees. Another example for all of us would be, life events. All of us at some point of time would undergo certain life events. Let me take example of an organization who has specifically focused on maternity leave or returning mothers, right? Coming back from maternity leave could be a very, very difficult phase for a lot of women employees. They've lost touch with what they were working on. They have a child to take care of at home. The transition usually isn't very smooth. But this IT giant in India has built an extensive career reboot program for their returning mothers, where they've offered them flexi or part-time working arrangements. There are focused intervention during the 6 months period of maternity leave. There are women leaders who would act as mentors for these women employees, helping them be connected to the larger organization, helping them be aware of what's happening in their teams, in the projects that they were working on, how to transition back into workplace, if there is some space, some projects that they need clarity on, all of that, if there are training needs that they need to be equipped with, all of that gets all that support is given to the women employees through the journey of their 6 months and even post that, right? They've gone a step ahead and also enhanced their paternity leave to make it an equal responsibility for both parents to take care of the child. So new fathers also get extensive paternity leave, better paternity leave than they used to get before, so that they could act as support system to their family, to their new child. So those are two examples, and there are examples across the life journey that organizations have taken over the last 2 years, which has helped them better their employee experience. Moving to employee, how has this evolved? Now, we spoke about, if you remember in the first slide, we spoke about that while the way we see employee experience has changed, but employee experience always existed. It hasn't changed, it's not that it's a new term that we are listening to, but there's still different modes in which employee experience is, updating. There are still modes in which employee experience is being experienced by employees, right? 3 forms, let's talk about that. And let me first give you an example before jumping on to how organizations are, dealing with these stages of employee experience. When we fall sick, right, there are 3 ways in which we usually tackle when we fall sick. One way is I'm running high fever, my throat is choked, there's severe body ache, and I would then go and take medicine. What I'm doing there is I'm acting in a very reactive way, right? I'm acting in a reactive way to take care of my health. That's the first form. The second form is proactive, where my eyes start burning. I know I'm going to fall sick. There is, that I can feel it in my body that I would possibly fall sick. And that's when I take medicine so that I don't actually fall sick. I can stop it then and there, right? That's my proactive way of managing my health. The third one is predictive, where it's not that I already know I'm going to fall sick, but I know if I need to not fall sick, I need to take better care of my health. I need to take better care of my, I need to exercise better. I need to eat well. I need to rest well. That's my predictive way of managing my health, so that hopefully in future, I don't fall sick, right? Now take the same analogy and put it at a workplace, right? What happens in a reactive workplace? Usually when, for example, I've resigned, right? A lot of organizations who would be operating in the reactive zone would then reach out to the employee to say, hey, you've resigned, what could we do for you? Is there something that we can do to retain you, right? The second form is proactive, where employee comes back. There are communication channels that are built. Employees come back to say, hey, I'm liking what I'm doing. I'm enjoying the work that I'm doing. But, next year I want to do a different role. Or, in a year's time, I would want to relocate to, let's say, Bombay or Bangalore or Chennai or somewhere else, right? So I'm proactively informing my employer what needs to be done and, what I'm expecting in future. That's my proactive way of managing employee experience. How am I managing employee experience? By having constant conversation with the employee, understanding what is it that it would take for them to be constantly engaged with the organization. And the third one, and possibly the one which is the future, is the predictive way of employee experience, where even before the employee knows that they are disengaged or there are triggers that could come in, we are able to tap on to build employee experience. There are a lot of AI chatbots that have come into picture where employees, through multiple channels, through multiple connects, it could be as simple as, oh, this employee hasn't taken leave over the last 1 year, or this employee has got his leave cancelled twice over the last 1 year, or this employee hasn't done any training, right? Or this employee has been looking for policies on notice period, exit. These are small clues which might be missed out in the day-to-day life of an employee life cycle. But through the AI chatbots, and there are multiple of them that exist, there are a lot of future-forward organizations that have started to adopt digital HR in its truest form, who are using this to help build employee experience. So imagine a place where even before I know that I want to do a different role or that I'm getting bored with what I'm doing, the AI is able to capture that through the topics that I'm picking up, through the search that I'm doing on, at the workplace, through the conversations that I'm having, right? That's my predictive way of evolution, and that's truly going to be the future of employee experience as well. Let's now open it up put something on the chat. Why do you think it is important? We've spoken about why it is important, but let's hear from you in terms of why do you think, after hearing whatever you heard, why is employee experience so important? We can still, to retain people. What else? Is it just about retaining people? It's about employer branding. Thank you, Rashmita. For better productivity. Okay. To control attrition, helps in increasing employer brand. Great. Great bond between employee and company, works effectively and lovely. Perfect. I think we've captured most of it, right? Employee experience is built for truly building a place that's attractive to an employee, right? It is about building a brand. It is about making sure that you're placing yourself as a great place to work, in the market. And there's stats to back them up. There have been multiple studies that have been done in the past that show whenever organizations focus on employee experience for employees, right? They've seen 3x increase in profit and revenue growth for themselves. They've seen 50% less absence days. So imagine a place where employees want to come back to work every single day, right? And they've seen an 18% reduction in resignations, turnover, in attrition, right? That's a big number to have because there is cost attached to each of them. And that's the cost that they're saving by building a great employee experience for the employees, right? So those are some stats I wanted to leave you with in terms of why employee experience is important. And all of this is backed by studies done extensively over the years in the space of employee experience. All right. So what's the future of employee experience? We've spoken about it. We spoke about it has evolved. We've also seen the 3 forms in which it exists today. But how will it look in future? What is going to change from an experience standpoint? What lens do we use to look at the employees in the future? Any clues that you would want to give me to answer this question for you? What could we do differently? What could organizations do differently? Not sure. Better or higher position. Okay. Assuming employees. So trust the employees. Okay. I'm assuming that's what you mean, Ankita. Trust the employees, know that they would do their job, do not micromanage, reduce attrition rate, organization plan better working environment. Okay. Employee satisfaction ratio will increase. Great. What else? Tailor experiences. Perfect. You're right, Rashmita. One size doesn't fit everybody, right? While employee experience is such a broad topic, but for all of us, employee experience means very different. All people who are on the call today, if you give them the same project, the experiences that they would have and they would expect out of that project would be very different. That is the beauty and also the challenge of thinking about an employee experience strategy. You need to understand what is the preference to work perfect. Basically, the future of employee experience is that we need to start treating employees as customers. There was a time, there is still, the organizations who truly believe customer is king, right? That's going to shift. That has already started to shift. In fact, employee experience is the new customer experience. And a lot of future forward organizations have started to think of employees as customers, right? The way you would treat them, that's exactly how you want to treat your employees internally. There are 5 things basically that employee experience is going to, you will be needed to make a solid employee experience. Personalization. Where have you seen high personalization in a customer market? Can you give me examples of companies? Can you give me examples that you've seen, you've experienced where there was a lot of personalization that was done for you as a consumer? Give me some names. Amazon, yes. What else? Where else have you seen personalization coming for you? A lot of them, I'm sure. Mercedes, yes. Where else? Amazon, Flipkart, yeah, Myntra's, boat, okay. Zomato, yeah, great. So Netflix, for example, have you all watched series, watched movies on Netflix? Yeah. When you see, like, for example, I like watching horror movies. When I watch a horror movie, there will be something that will come up again. And it will always tell me, you like this movie, you'll possibly like that. And it's such an exciting, such a happy moment because Netflix knows what kind of movies I like to watch, right? That's, for a consumer, that's the highest level of personalization. Now, when I replicate it to a workplace, a lot of organizations have started to build their learning and development intervention in a similar manner, where if suppose I'm in HR, the organization, the AI built in already knows what kind of skills I need to have to to be a great HR, right? It will automatically start showing me, oh, you've done this HR strategy role. Maybe you also need to do design thinking, maybe also HR consulting, right? So it starts giving you examples, and that's a way of building a high personalized employee experience in a lot of organizations. The other one, which will be very critical, is everyday magic. Where do you see everyday magic? You see everyday magic as consumers on Instagram, for example. There's always new content that keeps coming on your stream. That happens on Facebook as well, where you keep seeing new things every day, right? And there's some surprise every day. It's not that you're seeing the same videos again and again. The same happens if I put that experience up and put it in an employee context. A leading IT professional organization actually did that with their new joiners, where they built for every new joiner 52 weeks of personalized snippets, right? Every week, there are 52 weeks in a year. For 1 year, every week, there'll be one information that will be sent out to the new joiner about the organization, about the teams that they work with, about the future that they're building for themselves. And that kept employees excited about, oh, I got this today. Let me see what comes next week. So there's something new that's coming in every day, every week for an employee as they go through the first year of their journey with the organization. The second thing is everything simple, okay? We don't want complex things as a consumer as well as an employee. There are organizations that have helped us cut down the noise that small delivery things take, right? Today, for example, the ones who've used Grofers or Big Basket, right? There's something called a smart basket in this Big Basket. What it does for me as a consumer, it automatically knows that I buy these 3 things every week. I don't have to plug it in again and again. So it's simplifying my shopping, my grocery shopping, right? If I pick it up and place it in an employee world, organizations have started to build on a lot of chatbots. So today, I don't have to go to a portal to raise my leave request, or I don't have to go to a portal to book my seat, for example, right? All I need to do is go on a chat window, talk to the chatbot and tell them, please book my, please book my seat, or please book my, my leave from so-and-so date to so-and-so date. All of that is how we are building employee experience. And a lot of organizations have started to pick on that. The other one that that will help build employee experience is instant everything. We are in a world where there is instant gratification. We need everything to be happening as of day before yesterday, right? We need everything instant. There's Blinkit. My God, it amazes me how the delivery happens so quickly there, right? That's a classic example of how when I need something instantaneously, I get it delivered to my doorstep. That's how you're building customer delight. That's how organizations are building customer delight. And when I pick it up and drop it in a employee scenario, in an organization scenario, think of it when I have to go through a lot of organization, when I have to go through a policy, I'll go search the intranet, search the various portals to see where can I find this policy. Today, again, through AI chatbots, I just have to type the policy name and the policy gets lands in my mailbox, or I can see it on my phone immediately. I don't have to reach out to anybody else in the organization to tell me, hey, where can I find this policy, right? That's become so instantaneous that I don't feel it as a task anymore. Obviously helping my employee experience, by doing this instantaneously. And finally, while we do all of this, end-to-end experience has become extremely critical, and we've spoken about it throughout our presentation. It's not one point in time in an employee's life. It has to be continuously, it has to be daily, it has to be in everything that an employee is doing, exactly how it would be for a customer, right? I want to be treated well when I take a washing machine, for example. I also want to be treated, my phone calls answered when my washing machine breaks down, when a servicing needs to happen, right? So when that is something that's given to a customer, you want the same thing to happen for employees. And that's exactly what employees are looking for today in organizations, where they don't want one point in time experience. They want something that happens to them throughout their journey, where there is a lot of personalization, where they're getting magic moments every day, where there are things that are very simple, easy to understand, where it's instant. They don't have to wait. They don't have to spend a lot of time waiting for a simple piece of information. That's the end-to-end that employee experience will eventually evolve. And in fact, in a lot of organizations, it has already started to evolve into this wheel that you see in front of you. With that, I come to the end of my presentation, and I want to leave you with a very simple quote from Indra Nooyi, former CEO of PepsiCo. She quotes, "We want to create a company where employee can bring their whole selves to work." Clearly talks about the belongingness that we started speaking about when we started the presentation. We want a place where employees feel at home. We want a place where employees want to come back to work every day. And as HR professionals today and of future, you have a great responsibility on all of you to actually build that workplace for your employees. Be truly the partners to your business in building an amazing work experience and employee experience for your future employees. With that, thank you so much. That brings us to the end of the presentation.
Thank you so much, Sonal, for all those insights. And I think, guys, everybody, it's really nice to see that you guys are asking so many questions. But further, guys, if there's anything else you'd want to ask us, we are still open to take any of your questions. And I see that there's still some questions open on the Q&A section. So Ankit is asking, should we get a soft PPT? So maybe not, but the recordings would be shared with you probably in the next 3 to 4 days. You should be getting an email for the same. Okay, Ankit. And Intisha is asking, nowadays, most of the organizations are hiring experienced candidates. As a fresher, how can an individual start his or her career? Sonal, would you like to answer this?
How can an individual start? I think I understand that a lot of organizations are looking for people who come with certain experience, but there are organizations who look for people with zero experience. And, I've worked with a lot of organizations where with the skills that you bring, the attitude that you bring to the table, you get hired if you're willing to do that role. So there are surely organizations who are still hiring for freshers, people right out of college. There are a lot of campus programs that run across the country who are catering to a similar need for organizations.
Okay, all right. I think that is answered. So someone's asking, will there be more sessions? So yes, we do have a few more sessions lined up. I think there will be one more this week, which would be for the admissions and the course related questions. And then probably we'll be having one more masterclass as well. So again, there's an anonymous attendee who's asking, can we as a fresher get an opportunity of internship or a job here? So if in case you're referring to the program, now this 6-month course is actually designed for, freshers as well. If you're coming from a management background, so if you've done your BBA, if you've specialized in HR, you can definitely consider the program. And yes, we do offer internship opportunities with KPMG, as well as you do get placement support from Masters Union Placement Cell. Okay, so if that was the question you're asking for, then I hope I've answered it. Okay, so there's another question from Tharani. She's asked, they're asking that does organizational psychologist as a HR professional and a person with an MBA with an HR degree are given equal importance?
I'm sorry, you might have to repeat the question for me, Sharaz.
Yes, so the question is, does somebody who's done organizational psychology as an HR professional versus a person with an MBA with an HR degree, who would be getting more preference?
HR is just not one subject. There are multiple things within HR, and I don't think it's either or situation with these two opportunities. pick up what you think is the right thing for you. At the program that we've curated for you, you get the opportunity to experience both, not just organizational psychology, glimpses of organizational behavior, but also, the general HR management that you would study at any two-year course, right? So you'll get to experience that. But I would just leave you with, pick what you think is the right thing for you, what excites you. Within HR, it is not just about talent acquisition or business HR partnering. There's so many fields within HR that you'll be amazed to, you'll be absolutely excited to know about them.
Okay, all right. So I think, see, if you have gone through the curriculum as well, and I really got a good feedback from a lot of candidates who have applied for the program, who said that some with a lot of experience as well, right? I think we've had people with also about 10 years, 9 years of experience as well who did apply. And what they said is that the curriculum is more holistic, wherein it not just looks at one parameter, but overall, it's put every aspect of HR together, right? And
Yeah.
one benefit I can recommend to the students here is that we allow you to basically even work on projects with KPMG India, right? Now, as a consulting firm, they obviously have clients from all across the world, from every single sector and industry. So now you guys would get a practical experience of actually applying all that knowledge through these projects as well. And again, I think you can pick and choose as well, right, Sonal?
Absolutely. So we will, of course, come back to you in terms of what are the kind of experiences, industries that you want to pick up. That will happen during the course of the program, Charles.
Okay, so there's another question from Nitish. He says, I'm a fresher who's pursuing MBA. So further, I want to specialize in HR domain. Can you suggest me about the profile and its growth? So I think HR, should I take this and then you can add on, Sonal?
Sure, please.
So I think,
Yeah.
see, as long as organizations exist, right, we all know that people are the major assets or the major liabilities. Now, I think that, it's given to the HR, right? They are the ones who, make sure that in case you join an organization, you should be happy there and you're going to, have growth as well, right? So definitely, as long as there are organizations coming, HR is always going to be a domain which will be in demand. Okay, so I think that question is answered. Regarding hiring related to sourcing for really good candidates out from the market. Okay, so I think to add to the question before also, now overall in my experience as well, I think HRs are the people who stick the longest in a particular company. You have people coming in and going out, but it's always the HR who tends to stay a little bit longer. I mean, it's also part of their KRAs, but I think as a career also, it's something that where you feel a lot more secure.
Well, honestly, over the last 2 years, that possibly would have changed, Sharos. End of the day, HR are also employees, and the employee experience is also applicable for them. But yeah, you're right. I think, people want to stick around. People want, till the time they're feeling belong, till the time they feel comfortable in what they're doing. They're happy. They're learning something new every day. That's what would keep people to continue with the organization.
Okay, and this was a personal question also I wanted to understand. Yes. So we have layoffs in every part of or every function of the organization, right? I think HR is still much, I think it should be less in comparison.
You don't get to know about it. That's possibly, why so honestly, HR wouldn't be as, the headcount wouldn't be as large as a business headcount, right? In 1,000 odd people's organization, HR would be, with the average headcount ratio is 1:250, 1:300 people on an average, right? So there's one HR person for about 300, 350 people in an organization. If I have 1,000 people, it'll be about 4 to 5, 3 to 4 people in HR. So the number is obviously small. There are still basic processes, policies, that will continue to run, and there's HR needs to continue. But having said that, do layoffs happen and do HR get impacted? Sure, there could be instances where that happens as well.
So there's another question. Should we get certificate and fee? If you're referring to the certificate for the course, then yes, after completion of the 6-month program, you guys will be getting a certificate that's co-signed by Masters Union as well as KPMG in India. And apart from that, we would also be sharing the proof of work for all the different kind of projects that you would have worked on during the 6 months, right? And also, yes, there is a fees for the course, which is 1,90,000 plus there's an admission fees of 15,000 rupees, which comes to about 2,05,000 plus taxes. So of course, we do offer variable, different options for you guys to pay the fees in installments. So right from 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, or even 24 months, these are some of the options that we facilitate for you. Okay, so that part is answered. Now, next question is from Anandita. She's asking, without management degree like BBA or MBA, can science students also apply for this course to get an HR job? So I think I would take this. Now, if you're coming from a different background altogether, what we generally look for are people who have at least 2 years of experience, because we believe that if you worked in a corporate environment, right, you would have learned about what the role of an HR is basically over those period of 2 years. And then the certification program itself that we're offering, it will teach you all the technical skills required to eventually become and grow as an HR. Okay, would you agree to that, Sonal? For
That's,
somebody who's coming from a science background?
I'm a science student, by the way, and I built my career in HR. So any field, I don't think that's something that should restrict you to building a career for yourself in HR.
I think what would really matter is if you're a people person, right? If you're able to empathize and
Well, sure. I think that's something that's always considered as, synonym to being an HR professional. But your understanding of business over the years, that's become extremely critical, right? Your ability to understand what works for business, because that's when business is what truly impacts employees. And if you understand the business, you would truly understand what impacts your employees. And that's when you play your role of being a solid HR professional.
okay, so that question is answered. Now, Aparajita is asking, will KPMG hire for full-time HR roles from this program?
We always hire. And of course, that would be an option that would be open in case there are opportunities that are available with KPMG at that point of time. You could surely apply to the roles that would be open. Yeah, KPMG
Okay,
always
sure.
hires.
Rather, I would like to answer this in a way where, see, you guys are going to be learning from the masters from KPMG team, right? And obviously, if you're doing really well, if you're outshining, then definitely they would want to retain you. Now, obviously, they would not want everyone, we have a batch of like 60 to 70 students, right? But the top performers, I'm sure if you guys are able to outshine, then definitely KPMG would be more than happy. I think they have what, over 3 lakh employees now globally, right? Okay, so next question is from Anjali. She's asking, would you like to suggest some really good HR certification courses?
This
Uh,
one,
I
this one
would,
is a
yeah, I mean,
brilliant HR certification course.
okay, so Anjali, what I can say is you would have to maybe do some research on this. But if you're looking for a course that's more hands-on, that is taught by practitioners, that comes with placement support, and also gives you the flexibility to be able to learn over the weekends and not, hamper your professional commitments. I think this program is one of the best ways for you to get started in the career.
Yeah.
And she's asking also, when will this program take place? So we're planning to start. So the last date for the applications is on the 17th of this month, November. Post that, there all the admission, all the interviews would happen, and of course, you guys, we have an evaluation and selection process, right, where both KPMG and Masters Union would be looking at each of the applicants. Now, the course start date would most likely happen towards the second or third week of December. So the classes, anyways, are on the weekends. So that is when you'd be expecting it. But yeah, this is just the tentative date as of now. We'll be sharing once the application deadline is over. Post that, we'll share the start dates. Okay, so Ajit is asking. Ajit, I think we've interacted before as well, and I think you had certain questions. Would you like to come? Would you like me to allow you to speak? Let me know. So he's asking Sonal that what is the experience range for this program?
The range that we're looking at is someone with 2 to 6 years of work experience. But Sharos, I think we could surely explore people who are beyond the 2 to 6 range as well on a case-on-case basis. At this point of
Mhm.
time, the course is for people with 2 to 6 years of experience.
Ajit, would you want to add to that? I think you had specific questions about business partnering roles, right? Okay, it's fine.
Clear. Thanks, Ji.
Will we get a certificate for this class? Not for this master class, but for the course you would. Okay, so Nitish is asking an interesting question. He says, ma'am, I heard that HR at a starting level will be struggling in narrow scope than other domains and also less opportunity in the market.
Uh, so Nitish, I'm hoping I'm getting the name right. Nitish, you're right. I'm not saying that's not the reality, but that's exactly what we're trying to change through this certification, right? Any organization that you move to, HR, while it might seem very transactional from an outside view, is extremely people-centric. There's a lot of strategy that gets involved, and thus a lot of organization would want you to spend some time before they give you, hardcore strategy roles. But that's exactly what we're trying to solve through this certification program, where we are training you on what the organizations are expecting out of HR professionals, so that you don't have to go through that phase. You exactly know you're ready for the job. You don't have to go through the basic of what HR truly is. I hope that answers your question.
So there's a question related to the cost. So the cost for the program is 2,05,000 plus taxes. And then of course, we do offer certain scholarship opportunities as well for people who we see good potential in. So I would recommend that if you're actually considering the course, you can start off with your application, go through the interview process, and post that you'll actually get to know also whether you're qualified for any scholarship. So there's another question from Karthik who says, why should a candidate join KPMG and not any other big four? So I think this is a very personal question, but if you would like to, since you have so
Well,
much
you're
experience.
right. Today's session is not about KPMG's employee value proposition, but you have absolute choice to join any organization. Like I said, it is about a place where you feel belonged, where you feel your future career aspirations could be met. And it could be any organizations, not necessarily just the big fours. But yeah, we can surely have a separate chat to tell you why KPMG.
So I actually also have one of my cousins, she's also working at KPMG, and she gave me an interesting insight that you are now looking for a 4 day a week kind of a, culture. I'm not sure about it, but I'm aware that in Dubai also now it's become four days a week, right? Is it the same with KPMG?
You will always explore the local laws would be very different in India. It takes, it will always take some time, but those conversations continue to happen at a leadership level at all point of time. We'll possibly know if it happens.
I think work-life balance is where KPMG is trying to, make it what is apt for people.
Absolutely.
Okay, so someone's asking analytics or payroll, which is the better, where can I get better pay in HR?
Depends which organization. Both could be highly rewarding. One, I think it is all about your, it's all about your interest. But depends also which organization that you're part of. If you're part of a highly involved organization, possibility is that the payroll is always already outsourced or automated, right? But analytics is something that would, that a lot of leading organizations are looking at. You should take the call for yourself and explore what exactly is the career that you would want to build for yourself, plus the organization that you would want to part of. It needs to have the basic ecosystem for you to either run payroll or to run HR analytics.
Okay, all right. So there's a question from Shivangi on the chat box. So guys, I'm really sorry we've not looked at the chat box as much because there are so many questions in the Q&A section. So I'd request you guys to put it in the Q&A section so it's easier for us to track as well, right? But yeah, just this question from Shivangi, I'll quickly take it up. So she's saying, I have 6 years of experience with HR IT recruiters with consultancy. Will this course help me to grow?
Oh, absolutely, Shivangi. It is exactly made for people like you who've been in one vertical of the industry. You've always been with vendor partners. You have always been with consultants. You now will get exposure to what happens in their industry, and not just in talent acquisition. You also get exposure to talent management, to HR analytics, to business partnering. So there's a lot that you will gain through this program, and it wouldn't be just about talent acquisition.
Okay, all right, great. I hope your question is answered. Now, there's another question from Lakshmi who says, will it be a classroom program or an online program? So actually, Lakshmi, it's a hybrid course. In fact, all the courses we offer under the MasterCamp banner are hybrid programs. Now, all the classes would happen on the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, and these are going to be live interactive lectures with a batch of around 60 to 70 students, right? Now, apart from that, during the course, there are going to be multiple offline engagement activities as well. Plus, there'll be certain group projects and a capstone project as well that you guys may have to work on, right? So for these projects, now you can either come to the campus, and work on them together with your classmates and your peers, or otherwise also some of the sessions or some of the events that we do themselves, right? These are again offline. So it's, I would say, a mix of both, but nothing offline is mandatory here. It's an option for you. But we recommend that let's say in the 6 months, you should make it a point to come to the campus or come to any of our remote classrooms in other cities as well, at least 2 to 3 times. Okay, so Ajit is asking another question as well, which is I have 12 years of experience in TA from recruitment firms and currently in the corporate for the last 1 year. Ajit, if you can elaborate a little more. Okay, I think Ajit may be rephrasing his question. So in the meanwhile, Shubhangi is asking, I have experience in talent acquisition of 1 year and working with KPMG Global and Deloitte India as my clients. Am I eligible for the program?
Shivangi, we can surely explore. Maybe this would need for us to connect once offline and figure out the details.
Okay, so Ajit is saying he has 12 years of experience in TA, that's talent acquisition, from recruitment firms and currently in the corporate for the last 1 year. So will this program be helpful for him if he already comes with 12 years of experience?
Ajit, you already have a lot of extensive experience in talent acquisition. Again, I think yours would be a conversation to understand where do you want to build your career. But if it is, if you want to build your career, move gears and get into, let's say, talent management, business partnering, HR analytics, for example, or learning and development, then this program could surely help you. But we can, your case, considering that your years of experience is more than what is designed for the course, we might have to take it on a case-on-case basis.
Okay, so now I'm coming back to the Q&A section. Ayushi is asking, should I learn SAP? Because it's not used in every organization, but I think we will be training people in SAP here as well, right? SAP?
We would be using certain tools, certain ERPs to the students who sign up. Every organization is picking up a different ERP model. The idea is for you to understand basics of how ERPs run. More or less, they would be similar. The features could be different, but don't have to restrict yourself to just one.
Okay, great. So Nikita is asking, hi Sonal, you mentioned that this program is designed for people having 2 years or more experience. If someone has less experience than that, how will the gap be filled in that case?
Sure. Would you want to take that question?
I think I can take that. Yeah. So see, actually 2 years is for those people who do not, who are coming from, let's say, technical backgrounds, right? But if you're coming from a management background, if you've done a BBA or a, MBA as well, then you don't actually necessarily require experience. But having said that, I think the whole objective of a course like this is to gain that practical knowledge and to be able to add those projects to your CV as well, right? And I think doing these projects themselves is going to give you that experience to be able to start off and be productive on the job from day one. I think that's the objective with which we designed the program. Anything you'd want to add to this, Sonal?
No, I think that covers.
Okay, so there's another question. I did MBA in HR and I have 1.4 years of experience in talent acquisition and 2 years of experience in process associate. Is it workable for this course? Because they said that it is for 2 years to 6 years of HR. Yeah. So I think in your case, it's absolutely fine. You qualify, based on what we look for. So that's absolutely okay. You don't actually necessarily need 2 years.
Yeah, we are not looking for 2 to 6 years of core HR experience. There are people, let's say in finance or in marketing, who want to make a switch into HR. This course is for them as well.
Yeah, okay. So I think we've changed we've covered the questions on the Q&A section. I'll just quickly look at the chat box. I think, guys, we have another 2 to 3 minutes remaining. So if there's any immediate question that we may have missed, you guys can also just put it on the chat box. I'll pick it up from there. So Mansi is asking, if I want to change my career to HR field, how to start learning to get job in... Okay. So Archana's answered that question on the chat box. Okay, I think this question is a little different and interesting as well. So Aparajita is saying that to reach a leadership position in HR, is it necessary to work at various HR roles like recruitment, talent, HRBP, and etc. Or one could work as an HRBP throughout and then still reach leadership levels?
Great question, Aparajita. And I think there is no one answer. In my career, the leaders that I've worked with, I've seen them becoming an SME in a particular space, being HRBP throughout and then leading organizations as well. I've also worked with leaders who did talent acquisition, did business partnering, did CNB, did training, did all things across the gamut of various sub-functions within HR. Choice is up to you, but if I have to give you an answer, I think it's always helpful for you to have exposure to various fields within HR. If not you would, when you eventually get to lead teams, it's always helpful for you to understand what your teams are doing and, what entails the entire HR, life journey. So I would recommend you having exposure to various fields within HR and not restrict yourself to just one.
So guys, I'm also I've dropped the link for the program page. So in case any of you wants to go through the course curriculum, understand what is covered, what are the projects like, what are the time commitments. So all that information is available on our website very clearly. I would request you to at least scroll down all the way to the bottom to get all the required information, right? Apart from this, if any of you want some support in terms of, because see, I see there are a lot of questions related to your personal careers, right? And I think we would not be able to answer all of them today. So what I'll do is I'll just drop an email ID where I would request any of you to, sort of drop in an email and mention that, where you're coming from, what experience you have. And then we have our own admissions team where we have counselors who can, probably interact with you one-to-one and understand and suggest, what options you have. Okay, other than this, if you guys have received WhatsApp messages from our team, you can always reply back and definitely someone will connect with you to further understand your profile, better. So Kanak, offline sessions take place either in our campus in Delhi NCR or otherwise, if the masters are available, we also have classrooms in cities like Bombay, Pune, Hyderabad, Chennai, and Bangalore. Okay, so in these cities, if you guys are coming from there, then we have those classrooms where you can basically attend the lectures together and so on. But yeah, the main campus is in Delhi NCR. Okay, so I think guys, we've sort of run out of time today. But as I mentioned, right, you can always reach out to us. You can drop us a line on the email ID that I've shared and also the WhatsApp messages. You can always reply to that and somebody will definitely help you out. Sonal, should we end the session if you guys are?
Absolutely.
All right. So thank you so much, guys. And I think this was a really interactive session. And I really appreciate all of you asking your questions in as well. Anything you want to add, Sonal?
Well, thank you so much. You were a lovely audience. I think you got the slides before I took you through it today. But thank you so much for being a very interactive audience. I really enjoyed, having this session with you today. Thanks. Thank you so much, Arun.
All right. Thank you, Sonal. Thank you, everyone from KPMG team and also our audience. So, guys, we would be having more sessions. So I would request you guys to, check your emails or for any updates.